This episode of the Local Hustlers podcast is brought to you by Audible. If you're listening to this podcast right now, then I'm going to assume that you would also enjoy listening to audiobooks. Whether you're interested in business, history, comedy, science fiction, or romance, Audible has thousands of titles for you to choose from. We want you to try out Audible for free, so if you head to our link, you'll get a 30-day free trial and a free book. So go to audibletrial.com/localhustlerspodcast to redeem your trial today. Again, that's Audible, AUDIBLE, trial.com/localhustlerspodcast.
You're listening to the Local Hustlers Podcast, East Valley Locals. Get connected with small businesses near you and dive deep into their stories, mindset, and motives. Entrepreneurs everywhere. Get ready to be inspired by business owners, entrepreneurs, and hustlers that you can relate to and learn from. And now, your hosts, Dallin Huso and Ridge Waldberg.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Local Hustlers Podcast. This week, we're super excited to be here with Phillip, the FlipMan Zweig. How's it going, Phillip?
Awesome.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, super excited to get into the show. Hear all about the flip business. Why don't you take a couple of minutes before we dive into that and give us a little quick background on your life?
Sure. So, came out from the Midwest to Arizona State and
Nice.
Didn't know a soul except for my sister, and just ended up going to school there and took the 5-year plan, loved it, and ended up staying here.
Nice. What brought you to ASU in the first place?
We had a great uncle from Wisconsin, and then my sister came to school first, so
Okay.
kind of followed her out. It was either here or staying in the cold weather. So.
And what were you studying at ASU?
I started in business, finance, then marketing, and then I ended up getting a degree in exercise physiology because I thought I wanted to go into physical therapy, but got into the sales world shortly after graduating and never looked back.
Well, tell us a bit about, I guess, why you originally wanted to get into exercise, and then what kind of steered you into another direction, into sales.
Yeah, so in college, I lived across the street from a gym, and I was pretty small and skinny in coming out of high school, so had a couple mentors even back then. They're like, we got to get you in the gym, and then all of a sudden I became kind of addicted to working out and
Nice.
became a bodybuilder at one point.
Oh, wow.
And then
That's super
just
cool.
loved fitness.
Yeah.
And just everything about it. So switched the major and thought I was going to go into that, but did an internship with Xerox over the summer. And then from there, I graduated and then decided to take a break, but never went back to school, physical therapy school.
Okay. And then, so you mentioned sales. How did you kind of get into that world?
Just it fit me way better because I couldn't imagine sitting in an office. So I was just always out and about, and I always worked at the restaurants, the bars throughout college. So It was just a natural progression and a good fit.
Yeah. So you're more of a people person. You like to be around people.
Yep.
That's
I'd
cool.
like to be, out meeting new and helping people.
When it came to sales, did you, I don't know what you sold exactly, but was that important to you, what you were selling? Or do you just feel like you're a salesman at heart and you love to learn about a product and figure out, how anything can benefit someone?
So my first job out of college, again, I did the brief internship with Xerox. So I actually interviewed at some photocopier places,
Gotcha.
businesses, and a friend of mine from the gym, he was the manager. I didn't even know he was the manager there. So I ended up working for Unicopy Danka at the time, and it was a company out of Florida. But they basically give you like a 2-minute training and throw you out to the wolves.
Oh, wow.
So it's door to door, business to business. So you go into medical offices, industrial offices, and try to sell this copy machine.
Yeah.
We just saw 3 other copy salesmen the same day get out of here. So it was a lot of rejection and stuff. So I did well at it, though. I did it for about 2 years, and then I was looking for more formalized training. So went to the Career Services Center at ASU, found a company, Fortune 100 company called Automatic Data Processing. Probably way before your time, they did the checks. So employees used to get paid by paycheck instead of direct deposit. They did that too, but they keep track of all the payroll taxes and everything. So my focus was from 1 to 99 companies, 1 to 99 employees, and did that for 5 years. Loved it. Made President's Club. Had a great time, and amazing sales training. But it's very. I'm more entrepreneur. I couldn't see myself being there 20, 30 years in corporate America.
For sure.
That's when I met Charles. He was also at ADP, and we used to run the mountain together. He was showing me his rentals. He was about 10 years older, and so I started buying rentals right away.
Okay.
Because good income, good tax returns, stuff like that. So I was able to qualify.
Okay, so it was just another employee kind of, did he like try to talk you into it? Were you guys partnering on deals together, or how did that kind of happen?
Mentored me. So we'd run up the mountain and he'd tell me about his rentals, and then I'd go help him with his rentals and see what he was doing. And so he was creating passive income through rentals.
Yeah. Was that something that you were like hesitant with at first, or did it click right away? Like, this is what I want to do.
I saw a few late night programs on television, and so I bought like Carlton Sheets was one guy that was a guru back then, and so it did interest me because I knew I wanted to have children, and I didn't want to be at the beck and call of corporate America and have to, I got to go watch my son's basketball or my daughter's recital. So the freedom is amazing. So I'd never missed a recital or
for sure
baseball, basketball, whatever.
That's awesome.
So it's been a fun ride.
I bet. So you started with rentals. How did you transition more into the flipping sort of side of the business?
So I listened to Carlton Sheets, and then Wade Cook was another one. He was doing stocks and real estate training, and I just read up on it, and I didn't know anyone doing it though back then. So this was like 22 years ago.
Okay.
And so
before all the TV shows that are all about
HGTV,
it. Before it's the big thing to do.
And so, people are like, is that legal? Can you do that?
That's crazy.
So, I just tried to build a team. So I wanted to find realtors. I wanted to find hard money lenders. I want to find title companies. And, even though I wasn't a flipper, I said I'm an investor because I did have rentals. So I wore that hat. And then, I was on my way out of corporate America. I just wasn't feeling the passion anymore, and so I had about maybe 40,000 saved in 401ks and 40 or 50,000, and so I cashed it all out. Got penalized, and my parents weren't too happy because they thought that was safe, secure.
Right.
What's flipping and stuff like that. So did that, and then I found a deal, and this was in the Phoenix area, West Phoenix. Didn't have any workers or anything, and I had a hard money lady, private money lady, who believed in me, even though she really didn't know me that well. But she lent me 100% on my first deal. I just had to come in with the renovation money, and she was older, and we worked together for 4 years, and she was amazing. So again, if you know what you want, the right people come along in your life. So that was everything just started rolling.
Yeah, that's cool to see how it all kind of came together.
Yeah.
And it goes to show that sometimes in life things just you went into the sales job not knowing that you were going to get into real estate, but because you did that, you met someone that led you down this path that you're on now that you never would have been on otherwise. What's kind of your advice there when it comes to just when a door opens, testing out different opportunities that you have in life?
Well, I just think it boils down to your values, and you got to know what you want, because you could have Bob tell you one thing, you have Tom tell you, so you got to just stay in your lane, or try different things too. But you got to figure out what it is you really want, and I think the right people will come along in your life.
For sure. Did the 08-09 crash have a big effect on you?
So mentorship's really big for me. So starting with Charles back, 22, 23 years ago. But Jerry and I were partners in 04. He had been retired at 50, so he was like a role model. Man, I want to retire at 50. And so at 65, he got back into it. He moved from Salem to Oregon to Arizona, and I met him, and he became a friend, mentor, partner. So we had tons of rentals, millions of dollars in rentals, and then the crash hit us, and we were trying to figure it out, but we had like 5 on the flip market. We had all these rentals, and people were losing their jobs, and we tried to work with the banks, but they wouldn't do anything. So we ended up giving everything back, except I kept my personal home. I kept 2 rentals, but everything else we lost.
Wow.
Lost in the crash.
That's crazy.
I mean, I was almost, done with work. Like, it was just like we had that many properties rolling.
Wow. And what was that like, not only financially, but like mentally, to lose everything, right? Like you said, you were almost done working. You're almost at that goal you wanted, and now it feels like it's all gone. Yeah.
I mean, thankfully I had Jerry as a mentor partner. He had been through 2 other recessions. He was calming, but I mean, still, it was definitely devastating. I mean, so that next year I ended up getting divorced. So I lost a lot during that recession.
Wow.
And but I mean, I couldn't quit because that's all I knew. Like, what am I gonna do? I just got to keep going forward. So ended up meeting 2 Canadian ladies who were teaching the Canadians how to invest in the United States, and so I worked with 100 or so of their clients and did that for 3 years to start making money back again.
That's awesome. What's your advice for people who have gone through, COVID's a similar situation where they've seen their business, crash and burn because of circumstances that's beyond them. What's kind of your advice to kind of get out of that hole and keep pushing through?
Yeah, I mean, what else can we do, right? You just got to surround yourself with positive people that care and love you, and good support system.
Yeah.
So, I have a lot of people that support me around me, because sometimes as an entrepreneur get hard. Like, you're like, what do I do? And
exactly.
There's no books on it. You just got to be out there doing it.
Yeah. No, I love that. The people around you is so important. And like all great entrepreneurs, you've been able to pivot in multiple different ways to continue to grow your business. One of those ways that I've seen recently is with Airbnb. Can you tell us about the first time where you saw Airbnb and you kind of knew that was kind of another avenue that you wanted to pursue?
So at first I saw the opportunity, but I didn't know I was going to pursue it. So Sasha, he's a mentor of mine in the Airbnb business. Mm-hmm. He came out from Canada about 13 years ago. He wholesaled me his first wholesale deal. He got out of wholesaling. He ended up being a luxury realtor, but 10 years ago he got into the short-term rentals. And so I met with him last year, and he's like, Flip, I got, a doctor getting divorced. He's got one in North Phoenix. You want to go take a look? And I'm like, all right, let's go look. So he's like, it's retail $189. I'm like, I don't really pay retail, but he sent over the financials, and it just made sense. So this was January of 2020. So I closed on that within a month. And then 2 days after, I had my first guest. It was crazy because it was already running for 8 years as an Airbnb. So he taught us prior to buying that what to do, how to set it up, all that good stuff. And then I had 3 others that I was going to buy from that same client of his, but then the pandemic hit. So I'm like, oh, we got to see what's going to happen.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So waited until 2021, and I'm converting a number of my rentals into Airbnbs. And I just closed another one today, which was a MLS deal for $117,000. So that'll be number 5 this year, and we're gonna hit 10.
That's super cool. Awesome.
Do you spend more time cleaning your pool than you spend swimming in it? Then call Flamingo Pools today. Flamingo Pools is your go-to swimming pool maintenance and repair company in the East Valley. Whether it's weekly maintenance, repairs, green to cleans, or one-time cleanings, Flamingo Pools will take care of you. Honest, reliable, and innovative. Just a few of the many good things Flamingo Pools customers have to say about them. Ask them about their mineral treatment, which will keep your chemical levels down, allowing you to have a healthier bathing experience. At Flamingo Pools, they know that your pool was made to be enjoyed, so let them handle the rest. Check them out at azflamingopools.com or give them a call at 480-422-0700. 6013. Mention this podcast and you'll get your first month of maintenance completely free. That's azflamingopools.com and 480-422-6013.
As you look at those rentals and consider it, hey, is this something that I want to flip over to a short-term rental? What factors are you looking for to make sure that it will be a successful short-term rental?
I mean, that's a great question. I don't really know. I mean, I could only know what I know. So, like the Glendale one, it's a little scary for me because I hadn't been there. I've owned that one since 2017, and I paid. I got that really deep discount. I got that for $44,000. It's a condo, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 1,100 square feet. It's probably worth $165 today. But like, I went there and I'm like, I went with my assistant. We're looking at it. We're like, where's the HOA money going? Because like they hadn't overseed it. It was just it wasn't well. There was dead trees. So I was like, oh boy. And I had already wrote a note to the tenant that was there on his lease was expiring, and I said, unfortunately, financially, we're not going to be able to renew your lease. And so I gave him proper notice. But so we went there, and you don't know. So my other 3 are rolling right now. This one I'll probably have to charge a little less, but I mean, the great thing, it's a low mortgage payment. If it doesn't work, I'm fine. I'm putting I'll do $4,000 in reno and then like $4,000 in decor and stuff like that. So $8,000 investment. But it's by Grand Canyon. It's by Glendale Community College, 2.5 miles from each of those. It's 7 miles from like the NFL stadium down there and the Coyote hockey. So I feel pretty good. I mean, if I got to figure out what to price it at, but it's 3 bedrooms and I could really make it nice inside. So I think people just want somewhere nice to sleep, and so I feel good about it.
That's cool. When it comes to Airbnbs, when you're looking for new properties now, is there anything in particular that you're looking for, like a certain amount of bedrooms or bathrooms, or anything about the size of the yard?
I mean, so this year unless something really pops out, I'm not going to be picking up new ones. I'm just going to be working on my existing rental portfolio. As tenants' leases expire, I'll convert those. But that's a great question. So, I mean, that first one's like 3 minutes from the airport. That Scottsdale one is like 4 miles from like the old town Scottsdale, where a lot of people love to hang out. So location's great, but I mean, people are just coming to Arizona. Like my Chandler one's far out there south, but like folks, the next guest is from South Carolina and their home's not ready, so they're going to stay there for like 40 days. This first guest was from Chandler. Their Queen Creek home was delayed, so they stayed there for like 60 days. So, Arizona's a great state. I got a buddy who is from Fresno, and he does a lot of Airbnbs in California, but he's starting to come here to Arizona now. He wanted to meet with me for lunch, and so he's starting his Airbnb here. I know another gal who does only luxury Airbnbs, manages those. So there's all kind of different niches that you could kind of figure out. Yeah. Like some guys, like Sasha just does, he loves Central Phoenix. He loves the art, stuff about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A couple questions about risk. Do you see, you mentioned you've got buddies that are coming here into the market and buying or converting properties to short term. You're doing it. Do you see a saturation point? Is there a risk for over flooding the market with short term rentals? How do you see the long term projection of it?
I think we're in a great economic place right now because unfortunately the hotel industry is suffering right now because folks don't want to go and stay around large groups of people. They'd rather have like their own house or their own space. Yeah. So they'd rather go to the short-term rentals because, again, say you're traveling with 6 people, it's a lot cheaper too than getting a hotel. So there's a lot of advantages there. And I heard that one of the big hotels is actually getting into the short-term rental business now.
Yeah, you can get things through Marriott.
Oh, is it the Marriott?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I've seen a couple advertisements for that. Another risk I'd like you to talk about is, some neighbors might not be happy with having a short-term rental next to that. How do you manage that? How do you manage the relationship with the neighbors? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So, for example, the Scottsdale unit, that one, we had 4 girls. I think they just graduated from college or something. They wanted to do a girls' night and go to the bars or whatever down there. So, unfortunately, they were pretty loud. So, the neighbor below, she's, I don't know, mid-50s or whatever, she complained. So, the Monday following, the HOA property manager called me and just said, watch the noise, blah, blah, whatever. And so what we do though is up front, like before you even book our property, we send them the rules. So after 9 p.m., if you're excessive in noise, we're going to fine you $750. So, I mean, we make it pretty evident up front, and we got their credit cards. So, I mean, most people, if they have a problem with that, they're not going to book our unit anyway, so they could go somewhere else. That's fine. So I'm in it for the long term, and I don't want to be disrespectful to the neighbors. So we're very thorough in the rules that they have to abide by before going to the units. So I think that's important.
And do you do the rules and the contract, the extra contract and the fine? Do you do that outside of the platforms with your own
no, everything,
or is it all done through the platform?
Yeah, I mean, I have a teenage daughter. She is doing all that for me, so I don't even touch it. Like that's not what I want to do. I want to build the company and let her be the. I called her a customer service rep. She didn't like that. Let her be
She's the property manager.
The manager, exactly. So we are now super hosts, which is super awesome. And she's very on top of it. So I think people like the communication. As soon as if there's an issue, like we did have an issue with a leak, because I learned before I launch them, I'm gonna go stay there with the kids or the family for a couple of days and check everything out before you go live, because once you go live, things could happen.
Yeah.
So she was concerned. She's like, "You're gonna get a bad review, Dad," and I'm like, "Well, we did what we could do. Let's see what happens," because we communicated clearly with the guest. The tub had a leak and it leaked to the downstairs, and so the neighbor downstairs was very upset, and so I was communicating with my daughter, telling her what to say to the guest, and we had someone out there early the next morning addressing it. I said, don't use that tub. So end of the day, she ended up giving us 5 out of 5 because she was happy with the communication and that we addressed the issue the best we could. And people are pretty understanding, I feel.
Yeah.
So that was great.
That's cool. You mentioned that you're a superhost now. How do you become a superhost?
I was surprised. I wasn't shooting I was just shooting to do the very nicest reno, to do to treat people like you want to be when you travel, if they need anything, you just be there. So after you stay, you get reviewed, and you could review the guest. So we've had great, let's see, so it's out of 5. We got one person that was upset about air filters. So that out of 19 reviews, I think we had one that wasn't perfect, which, I mean, people are people. So so we ended up having superhost status because after so many reviews, if you consistently achieve high numbers.
Yeah, cool. when it comes to short-term rentals, are there any more risks or I guess downsides compared to the long-term leases, or is everything else kind of like at the benefit?
There's so many advantages, Dallin, from what I see, because with rentals, I used to have property managers, but like nothing as property managers. They sometimes I just found it better to self-manage, and when I self-manage, I didn't always go to my properties because the rents were being paid. Now, that's not always the best thing to do, because sometimes, even though people pay, the home may be like, holy cow, what happened here? That has happened to me. Yeah. So, but I had everything streamlined. Like, I have a third party that collects all the rents. I got Ruben, who's been with me 12 years, as a maintenance guy. If toilet breaks, anything breaks, I just call him and he'll go charge me per job. So it's important you have a good handyman, maintenance guy. Short-term, long-term is critical. So everything was running well with the long-term, but what I found, Alan, is people don't really stay in the property that long. All right, they're there a year, 2 years, they're moving to their own house, they're transferring jobs, so you have to go in and cost of business, you clean up, you paint, recarpet, whatever. So, and like I said, the cash flow is not like cash flow with Airbnbs.
Right.
And the cleaning lady, as soon as a guest leaves, so say a guest stays 3 days, like there and a couple this weekend, she'll be there the next day. So she'll report like anything wrong. So it's great that you have someone watching your property every 3-4 days, whatever, every night, next night.
Right.
So
that's super cool. Are there any more tips and tricks you have for just, running an Airbnb business efficiently, being a good host, getting good reviews?
Yeah. I mean, communication, if there's an issue or problem, be all over it. And then the other thing I would suggest if you decide to get into it is don't let the business run you. Let the business run. You run the business. Because, for example, we had Dante. I don't know where Dante was from, but he stayed one night in the Phoenix unit, and I was out with the family. My daughter's doing the app on the phone. She's like, how could we help you? And he calls right away. And I said, no, we're not taking a call at 10 o'clock. I said, you got to set boundaries sometimes. So I said, just, DM him back or whatever it's called. Ask him again, what's going on? Is there anything you need? And he never replied. So we never heard from him, and everything was good. So yeah, you really, again, and that's the thing with running rentals too. If sometimes people make things seem urgent, but they're not really urgent. Right. So whatever he needed couldn't have been that urgent because he never told us what he needed. So those are things that, don't let that control you because you're out with your family or you're out doing something it's not that urgent. I mean, if it's a leak or whatever, just he'll let us know in the message.
Cool.
So, and back to your question about, as far as converting. So everything that I own, I'm just converting. So worst case, it doesn't go good for the year, turn it back into a rental. Yeah. So, it's, that's the goal. So this year I'll have 8 at the end of the year. Next year I'll have 16. So I want to have 32 in 4 years. And that's conservatively, that's 6 figures a month if I have 32. So
that's impressive.
I mean, that would be sweet, right?
Right.
We're in Tahiti and your business is still running and, checks are coming, money's being deposited. So.
Can't complain.
Yeah. And it's real, and you can't do that with long-term rentals. I mean, you could be the bank, you could do, it's going to appreciate, but, even with what I did back in the day, I bought them wholesale, and then 2008, I lost pretty much everything because that financial crash. That was a lesson, but like, you know, I don't think we'll ever have that again, hopefully.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, that was
What was
brutal.
the big lesson you learned from that crash in 2008 that you've continued to apply? Because, you know, we're in a very strong market right now, and prices are high, and there's been a large run-up, you know, similar to what you saw in 2005, 2006, 2007, right? So what lessons did you learn from 12 years ago that you're applying now?
Yeah, I mean, so my mentor, like, I'm pretty bread and butter property. So, like, why don't you do $1 million houses? Why don't you do luxury? Like, so even then, though, we couldn't, like, the market went down so fast, so we couldn't liquidate quick enough because the prices were just historically, like, it was just overnight. Like, we had 4-5 listings. I had 5 in escrow, but, like, all that stuff, even all the rentals, they just wiped us out. Like, the banks wouldn't deal with this, so we gave almost everything back. I kept 2 houses. So what I would say is even so we had 20% cash down in each deal with bank financing, and yeah, so that was brutal. So you don't want to be too over leveraged. That's why I like the bread and butter. So say we have a dip, I could sell like Glendale, like I could sell these little properties off, so they're 200, and they'll sell very quickly for the most part if there's not a recession or anything. So I just feel like there's a lot of demand versus luxury's killing it right now, but it's like, you know, if something happens, I think that's the first to go. Like, even with the Airbnb, like, people weren't traveling, and you got like a $10,000 monthly income that's coming in, and now you're not making any of that. So I could survive on, like, some of my places are like $1,000 a month that I pay on mortgage or whatever. So that's a cheat. Like, I have backup to be able to make that happen if something were to fall off the cliff.
Mm-hmm. So going forward, because you want to get a couple more every year, and you mentioned you don't want to over leverage. So, you know, where do you get the money for these down payments for properties? Do you have this saved up? Do you have investors? Are you going to the bank, or is it a mix?
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of, I don't know how many of my properties, like, they've gone up in value. So I only kept a couple from, like, when I bought them in 2004, but then I started buying again in 2011, 2012. So I was able to buy and, you know, control them. And I still do about 5 flips a year. Well, I mean, I was doing more last year, but this year I'll say 5 to 7 this year. So, I mean, that's cash that I get. And then we'll see. I haven't really got to that point where I'm overstrapped right now. So I feel like if I'm going at this pace, it should be fine, because I've been tempted to scale very quickly, but like, I feel this is a good steady Eddie pace, like, where it's not like over leveraging. Because you know, we could raise money pretty easy, but like, I don't need to grow that quickly. Because there's something called arbitrage too, where you're actually subleasing rentals, and I know a couple guys in California that have done it, and younger kids in their 20s, and they blew up. But like, if something were to happen, I'm a little more conservative, I guess, on my process right now.
But your end goal, I mean, even being conservative, there's some massive gains that you could get even at the pace you're going at.
Because again, if you're patient, you build it right, I think it's always gonna, like, it's gonna be solid, like the foundation of a house. Like, just make it strong. And I don't want to chintz like things in the house. I want to have them, you know, nicely done so it lasts.
Cool. Well, I want to talk a bit about your social media presence. So you are the FlipMan. A lot of people out there doing different types of real estate. What made you decide to lean in on social media?
Okay, so yeah, that's a great question. So during the pandemic, I started on Instagram. Like, I am pretty old school, so like, even for when I used to wholesale, it would just be a phone call. Like, hey, Troy, I got this property, and, you know, Richard would call me, hey, Phil, I got this property. And then I bring my checkbook, just write them $10,000 checks. But again, technology, everything's changed. I was in the house during the pandemic. I met with a buddy of mine, Pace Morby. He's very big in sub-twos, and we were having lunch. He's like, you know everyone here, but like he's very in Instagram and social, and so he told me that. I'm like, dang, you're right. So I hopped on my Facebook Messenger, and just from that, like, I got 3 deals, and it was just, I was on the couch.
Wow.
So I figured it worked. So about 2 weeks later, Debbie, a friend of mine, helped me get my Instagram account. And it just was fun. And I ended up meeting people from all over the country at the pandemic that were doing what I was doing or wanted to learn what I was doing. So it's all on Instagram right now. I have YouTube and some other things, but like every day we shoot, we store content and put on educational stuff that I've learned over the years and tips, tricks, stuff like that. So that's been super cool.
That's cool. And what's kind of the long-term goal with that? Is it to I guess, mentor and train, or is it more to find clients or find investors?
I mean, yeah, that's a great question because beginning of the year of 2020, I was going to make classes and, sell programs and all that. Cody Sperber, I don't know if you know the Green Elephant, but I was actually, he's giant on social, and he's been in the game, Facebook for like 15 years or something. So he's all over the country. And so I was actually, I've always worked out of the house, but I got an office down at his place last year. So that was super cool. So I thought about the coaching, mentoring. I've done that before, but I want to, it's very, like, unless you set up all the systems and all that, it's a lot that goes into it. So for me, I enjoy giving out the free content and, just helping people with tips and, things that I would have done differently or so forth. So it's just a network. I think the networking is crazy good. And, I want to do a few spec homes down the road. So there's just so many different things you could do with partners or people just reach out to you. And there's another FlipMan, which he's in Alabama, and I never knew because we all, like, back in the day. So my partner, his nickname was Flash. We had Thunder. They called me Flips. We all had nicknames. And so I was in an event in Tempe, the Go Givers, and Ty from Alabama, he's big on YouTube, called the FlipMan. So we look nothing alike though. So
so can't mistake you.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that. You said you're at the Go Givers network event. I want to talk a little bit about your network because some people might argue, well, you're giving away all your tips for free, like you're increasing your competition, and people are hearing and you're not getting anything from it, financially, if you will. And it takes a giver's mindset to overcome that selfish desire, right? To hoard all the insider tips and tricks and the lessons you've learned. Could you just maybe share an example or a story where, because of your giver mentality, maybe you got a contact or some kind of benefit from just having that giving mentality that you have? Yeah,
I mean, I think I was reading the seas, like there's a sea that flows, there's one that's totally dead. And so, like, if you're flowing into other people, like, regardless, you're going to get back, like whether you're helping them out, do something that you went through or whatever, it comes back tenfold. So that, like, tight holding info in, I mean, for me, like, I'm not attracted to those people. I feel like there's so much opportunity, and you share that, and then it's up to that person to make it happen, because once you share it, they got a little start, but like they got to make it every day. Like it's not always easy.
Cool.
So.
And I just remembered you have a meetup as well, right?
Yep. So we do Flip Arizona. Magnus Title Company sponsors it with me, Jason Heinen. So we started that about a year and a half ago, and so I was kind of it started as education, like come learn about fix and flip.
Yeah.
And so every month we have a lot of high level real estate people in Arizona. It's crazy. Like compared to other states, like a lot of the bigwigs are here. So like Stephen Trang, Pace Morby, Brent Daniels, all those guys, I always have a keynote speaker, and I go way back with a bunch of these guys from when they started. So it's pretty cool that they come and speak at the events. And that's a new school mentality too. We're just here like giving out information because they're the same way. And it was amazing when I saw some of the things they were doing, because that old school thinking was like, you're my competition, I'm not going to give it away. Now it's like, here, let's partner, let's collaborate together. And that's pretty cool, I thought. So that was a formation of the Flip Arizona. And so every month we'll have a special keynote speaker that breaks down whether it's sub 2 or Brent talked about, he did December, he's TTP, he does a lot with training people how to wholesale and stuff like that. So every month we'll have one of those. And then I do pop-ups too. Both these things are free in Arizona. So every time I'll launch a new Airbnb, I'll share the reno costs, the numbers. I'll share, because there's the reno and then there's the decor, the staging, all that. So I'll break all the numbers down, what we did, what it cost me, what are some of the problems, challenges, and then stay there for a couple hours answering questions and kind of sharing that info.
So many people are so like they want to keep that to themselves and they don't want to share that. We've already talked a bit about like the benefits of having a giving mindset, but where did you develop that mindset?
Oh man, so years ago I read a book, Real Magic by Wayne Dyer, and so if you squeeze an orange, what do you get? Orange juice. So like if you squeeze some, like it comes back. It's so interesting. So I have hundreds of books at the house where I was always the one in the Barnes and Noble reading the self-development, the psychology, and Zig Ziglar, just a lot of the top authors and so forth. So Tony Robbins was amazing. I did the Firewalk 3 times. So like just they teach a lot of that technology where it's to achieve big things, you gotta give great things to people. So like it does come back, and it may not come back from that person that you're giving to, but I feel like it definitely has come back.
Another question on flipping: how similar or how different is the process of flipping a house to what you see on like HGTV?
Oh my goodness! So like, I don't watch a lot of those, but we used to for a while. We were watching that. So it's a lot of it is director stories. Like they have to make it dramatic for people to kind of watch and stuff like that. So years ago, John Ray, they used to have these guys down at the auction, Doug Hopkins, they did a show, and all that was staged. John told me, like, so like that was like they would give them like how to act if you're gonna conflict, fight. So but I do like the design aspects because like they're super cool on the new like latest greatest, because we're always evolving, changing. So to me that's exciting to see someone take it from here and make it like amazing, and that's exciting. So the other stuff is kind of drama, and the numbers, they never disclose the real numbers, right. And it's changed because so many people from HGTV now want to be full-time flippers, full-time wholesale, full-time hard money. That was never the case 20 years ago. So
there is some benefit then
I
of
think
watching
so.
those shows.
I think so, yeah. And they're super cool, like just to see what their different states are doing and different like buildings, houses, and stuff.
That's cool. And like you mentioned, they don't usually go into the financials of that sort of thing. And you don't have to get super specific with us, but could you maybe walk us through like a deal, maybe the financials when you purchased it, kind of like looking into, okay, I'm going to have to put this much into it, this much how we're going to get out of it, and with all the different costs involved in holding and such,
Sure.
What you're going to get.
So I could give you a couple different ones.
Yeah.
So the Scottsdale one, I never used to buy condos because I was always scared of HOA and fees. But 10 years ago, I changed my mindset because you can make a lot of money on condos and you don't have to remodel the exterior because they usually do that for you. So Daryl, he's a realtor, and I work with multiple realtors. I mean, if realtors say, "Oh, are you just going to work with me?" You can't. It's like asking them just to work with you. They need clients, and you need multiple realtors.
Yeah.
So Daryl and I would talk on the phone every day. We had this software that would scan the MLS, and so we got some deals from there. But he was taking his Canadian client to look at these condos in Scottsdale. She found one that they wrote an offer, got accepted. The seller of that unit said, "You know what? I have 5 more. I'm not going to put them on the MLS. Do you want those units, Daryl?" And Daryl came to me. He's like, "Flip, I got 5. He wants this price, but you got to buy all 5 with the tenants." I'm like, "All right." And I guess he was selling those he was moving to Hawaii or whatever. So I'm like, man, let's look at the numbers. For those 5, I paid $837,000. And I'm like, oh shoot. So, that's a large purchase for me because most of my stuff is 3, 2, 4, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So I called a friend of mine who is a private money lender. He looked at the deal. He's like, "I'll lend you $615,000. So now I got $615 to $837. I got to come in with 200 and some thousand. I had another guy that saw me on Instagram or somewhere, and he's like, "Flip, I want to work with you." So he came in with the other 200 or whatever to close. So I had 0 out of pocket.
Wow.
He even brought the money to renovate them. And I flipped 3 of those, but I kept 2 that I'm turning into Airbnb. But that deal alone, I mean, that was amazing because each of those flips we made about $35,000-$40,000, and they're even going up higher. So we sold them over the summer. So that one I just acted quick. You should always have your proof of funds letter ready, and I mean that was a sweet deal.
Yeah.
And that was from a realtor. Another deal that I am selling this month is in Kearney, Arizona, town of 2,000. I mean, so a buddy of mine sold me one last year, and now I got 3 up there. So a wholesaler brought me that deal, and it took 6 months to close, but I only paid $55,000. I got a 1,600 square foot home. I got a half acre for $55,000. I'm in escrow to sell the house, but I'm going to keep the back half acre, and I'm going to put mobile trailers on it and rent those out. So I got that at $55,000. Let's see, we're under contract at $124,000. So that's a giant spread, $124,000 to $55,000. Plus I got the bonus of the back. So again, I'm a little more picky nowadays on some of the stuff because I'm okay. But $124,000 to $55,000. My handyman put about 10 into it, so I'm at $65,000 plus my holding cost because I got a private money loan on that. So, $65,000 to $124,000 plus real estate. That's a good spread.
Yeah.
So you don't want to overpay. So that's a lot of new investors. They get so excited about getting a deal. Wholesalers right now are I don't know who's buying these deals because they're selling at a very high, the discount's not there, but they're selling them like crazy, and
right.
Someone's paying them. So,
yeah. Huh.
But that's a couple of deals recently. That
awesome. Appreciate you diving into those because I think for a lot of new investors or people that want to get into it, it's hard to, once you look at your numbers, is this good or not? Because you don't always hear, examples, and you don't know.
And things always come up.
Yeah.
Alan.
Yeah.
So you got to know, like, I have 11 pages that I made with every cost, and that's only one thing I sell. That's like $25 if anyone ever wants it. But it breaks down all the costs of material, labor, like, what you should pay, because that was hard. Like, when you first start, like, I don't know, what does it cost to scrape the popcorn? What does it cost for an AC? What does it cost for the new roof? Like, because if you're overpaying, you're not putting money in your pocket. And it's like, I'm not doing this to give the money away. So, and contractors, typically, they mark it up like 15-20%. So they're making money, but you go to resell it, you got your hard money costs, you got your contract, and like, there's no money left. It's like, so numbers are big. You really got to know the AR after repair value too. So you have to have a realtor help you if you're not a realtor yourself. I'm not a realtor. I just always want to be an investor.
Yeah. That was my next question. So a realtor is someone good to talk to kind of know what that
oh my
values
goodness
are going to be?
I think it's a great to have on your team, because again, I don't do a lot of marketing, but realtors over the years have brought me deals. They're like, hey, because you close on them. If they bring me a deal, they get the back end if I flip it, so they get double commission too, which is great. So realtors that understand. So one of the questions I learned to ask early on is, are you an investor yourself? Have you helped investors? Because there's a lot of realtors. So you got to make sure they understand investing.
For sure. That makes sense. 2 more questions, just kind of geared towards new investors or people that want to get into real estate. First, with capital, how important is it to have money? Is it super important? Or you've mentioned so many ways with hard money, private money, loans. Is there more than enough ways to find the money if you don't have it? I
kind of started, like, a lot of the new stuff right now is teaching you how to wholesale to make money so you could do your first fix and flip. I started like the opposite. Yeah, I started flipping, and then naturally, because I was having so many contracts come in, I wholesaled some of them out. And wholesaling is great because it's quick money, and you don't have to wait, on your return. Yeah. But again, do you need money to make money? I don't think so. You just need to be a hustler. You need to be smart. If you don't have money, you got to be aggressive. You got to work hard, because the first couple of years are extremely hard. Network like crazy. Go to every event. Show up, and the deals will start coming like anything. Once you do your first one, the second, third come, and lock up the deal. Just lock it up, and then call me, call anyone, because if you buy it so well, you're gonna have money. Like, the money's the easy part. Really, it really is.
I like that mindset. So it is possible. You're saying if you don't have
100%,
money, no excuses. Then. Love it. And then for someone that's wanting to get started, what's like that first step that you would tell someone to take if they're wanting to get into real estate investing?
I mean, there's so many mentorship programs out there. I would, if you don't have the money, go work for someone, hey, go pick up their whatever it takes to get your foot in the door, because nowadays with Instagram, all that stuff is accessible. You could reach out to anyone and say, hey, are you hiring? Could I intern for you? Clever does a ton of interns, and
really,
so there's a lot of opportunity if you're willing to work hard and trading the knowledge for maybe not getting a paid internship. And I think that's a good route to go to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, that's great. Any last piece of advice you have for us that we haven't asked you about and that you haven't shared so far before we get closing up here?
Yeah, I would just say, Alan, don't overanalyze things. Thomas, there's always going to be a Thomas out there. He would see what I was doing years ago. He was an engineer mindset, and I love engineers. Like Steve Train's an engineer. Those guys are great to have on your team. They're very into systems, and but there's that switch where I don't know if you guys ever heard analysis by paralysis. Yeah. So you're analyzing what if, and 20 years, Thomas has still never done anything in real estate. He's went to everything. He knows it all, but he's never jumped in the pool. So that's the thing. He had the engineer type mindset, and he would drive with me and always ask me questions, and I welcomed him. But after so long, I'm like, man, you just got to jump in, because that's the only way you learn is like get in and do it. And you don't have to be perfect. You're going to mess up.
Yeah.
Like I still do.
Cool. I think that's one of the keys, just understanding that you don't have to be perfect, because so many people are nervous to make a mistake and they try to wait.
It's nerve-wracking too. Yeah. What if I lose?
Right.
But again, you got to take chances, right? So what's the worst that can happen? I mean,
exactly. Yeah, I think that's one of the keys is taking the jump, because there's so many people that are in that analysis process, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and it is scary, but again, if you're, I don't know, 20, 22, 24, the other thing is I've seen those guys that have no fear. Like, they don't have much to lose. Like, they're just they're living on their own, and same with the girls. Like,
that was you 22 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't have, like, any responsibility. I just got to work and make it happen. So
awesome. You've mentioned your plan with Airbnb moving forward, and then in terms of being the FlipMan with social media, do you have any sort of long-term goals with that?
As far as the social media,
yeah, just kind of your plan moving forward. With that.
I mean, again, eventually we'll develop some webinars and courses and classes. We do get a lot of people that like the information, so I will put it in something so we could share it, but long term that would definitely be the goal. To do that and just keep growing the Instagram. I do it organically right now, and I feel like I'm still in control of my DMs and getting to know people.
Right.
For me, that's what I'm doing right now organically, and that's really the only platform. I'm on the other platforms. If they go to my Instagram, they could see on my link tree, the YouTube channel, the meetups, all that. But like every day, I'm posting on Instagram something, whether we're renovating Glendale, whether we're going to have a pop-up, so there's always good tips on there too.
Awesome. And there's so much good information on there. So if you haven't checked out the FlipMan on Instagram, you got to go.
I think that's how we met, isn't it?
Yeah,
okay.
Through Instagram. And that's how you meet so many of our guests, is just through networking on Instagram and just everyone posting and meeting new people and businesses.
Yeah. It's game changer for sure.
So Phillip, before we close up here, I'm curious just to hear your opinion on the current state of the market. You hear a lot of different things, whether it is a good time to buy or sell. What's kind of your professional opinion on where we're at in the market?
Well, we look at the interest rates, the mortgages. I mean, they're historically low.
Right.
So it's a phenomenal time for buyers. I mean, I have friends now all over America from Instagram, and the market is hot all over. I mean, Arizona especially is a top state in the country, and it's interesting because of the expansion. We still have a lot of growth based on the availability of land. It's pushing to the outskirts. A lot of companies are coming. Amazon, big players are coming to Arizona. It's affordable. So I'm excited. We got builders coming out here. We got a lot of growth ahead.
Well, Phillip, we've really enjoyed having you on. I want to let you get back to the rest of your evening. Before we close up, we got a quick game we're going to play with you.
Okay.
So how it's going to go is we got a list of 20 questions, and you've got a minute on the clock to answer as many of them as you can.
Okay.
So we'll see how you do compared to other guests we've had on the show. All right, do you want to start us off? In 3, 2, 1.
Your dream vacation?
Fiji.
First thing you'd buy if you won $1 million?
Lambo.
Your favorite hobby?
Hiking.
If there was an Olympic competition for everyday activities, what activity would you have a good chance at winning a medal in?
Oh, boy. Let's see. That's a tough one. Dang it. Let's see. Bowling.
A song you've been jamming to lately?
Candyman.
If you lived to be 100, would you rather have the mind or the body of your prime self?
Mine.
Your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Sure. Orange sherbet.
Favorite fictional character?
Superman.
Favorite smell?
Starbucks.
What's your nickname?
FlipMan.
Yeah.
Pet peeve?
Pet peeve. Follow if people don't follow through.
Your favorite restaurant?
Let's go with Pita Jungle.
Nice.
Love
Nice. Nothing like
Give me
some
that
pita jungle.
Mediterranean salad.
Yeah, good stuff.
Awesome. We got 13, so not bad.
Okay.
Cool.
Did you want people to know my Instagram? Or?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just going to say, first of all, thanks again for coming on, sharing all that information, and just your giving mindset, being able to share that information, not only with us today, but just through all of your social media platforms. Really appreciate that and all you do. So why don't you let our listeners know where they can find more about you?
Sweet. Yeah. So Instagram for right now, it's at @FlipMan_AZ. And then on the link tree, I do have a free ebook. It's about a 10-page ebook about fix and flipping, the beginning stages and what you do. And all my other platforms that I'm on are on the link tree on my Instagram.
Cool. And I know you have a little special offer for our listeners as well. Do you want to kind of tell us what that is? Yeah.
So every launch of a new pop-up, you guys are more than welcome to come and to the event. It's usually Saturday morning from about 10 to 12, where I break down all the rental costs, all the decorating, staging, best deals, what I learned from my Airbnbs, and I'll share that and answer questions.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks again for coming on and taking
Awesome,
time
guys.
out of your day to talk with us.
been fun.
It's been
Great
fun.
being with
All
you.
right.
Cool.
Thank
We'll
you.
talk to you later.
Guys, appreciate it.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. Just a few things before we go. First off, if you or someone you know is an entrepreneur in the East Valley, we'd love to have you on the show. Please get in touch with us by emailing us at localhustlerspodcast@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram at localhustlerspodcast. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn for the latest news and updates. Also, if you enjoyed the show, please take a few seconds to rate and review and hit that subscribe button. It lets us know how we're doing and helps us grow so we can reach more locals, entrepreneurs, and help small businesses grow. Thanks, guys.